Okay, this little video goes with the handout entitled Numerical Facts, which is available on Google Classroom along with this video. I'll just go through them really quickly, but they're the radical facts that you need to know in order to do the problems with the 45-90 triangles and the 30-60-90 triangles. This is all review from Algebra 1. So let's get started. So let's look at this one here. This is what we talked about in class today. So when I have the square root of x squared, the square cancels the square root, and out pops the number. Now over here, the same thing happens. The square root cancels the square, and out pops the number. Okay. So this one here is basically just the square root times the square root, and the two square roots cancel, and out pops the number. Okay, so you need to remember those. Okay, I'll change colors. So here's our next set. So when I have square roots multiplied, okay, if the numbers inside are different, okay, this is x, and this is y. So I'm multiplying the roots of two different numbers. I can combine them all under the same radical, okay, and then it just becomes x and y. So here's an example. So I have square root of 3 times the square root of 2. 3 and 2 are not equal to each other, but I can combine them, multiply them under the same radical, and 3 times 2 equals 6. Okay, now notice how this is different from this, okay, because the numbers inside the radical in this box are the same. The numbers in the radical in this box are different. Okay, so you have to handle them two different ways. Now, division. Let me change here. So here we have, okay, a fraction, and it's under a radical. So we can take apart that fraction. So a, we put on top of the fraction bar, and it's a radical, so square root of a, and then we can take the b and move that over under the fraction bar, and we get square root of b. So we just split up that big radical. So here's an example. So I have 81 divided by 3 under a radical. So I can take it apart, and on top of the fraction bar, I put the square root of 81, and then on the bottom, I put the square root of 3. Okay. So 81 is a perfect square. Okay, square root of 81 equals 9. Okay, 3, you cannot take the square root of 3 without a calculator, which we're not using, and so it just stays the same. And it becomes 9 over the square root of 3. Okay. So this would be called the simplified version. Okay. Now, next, okay, on this one, we're going to simplify the square root of 4x. Now, we know that 4 is a perfect square, but we have no idea what x is. And so we can take that square root of 4, which is 2, put it outside the radical, but we need to leave the x inside the radical. So the simplified version is just 2 times the square root of x. Now here's another example where you have an integer 5, times a square root. This time it happens to be 2, and we're squaring it. Okay. So right off the bat, we know that the square of 5 is 25. So we get that done. We get rid of it. Now we know we have to square the square root of 2. So here, I put square root of 2, now square root of 2. So we know by this up here that the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, okay, is equal to 2. So our expression becomes 25 times 2 is equal to 50. And so 5 times the square root of 2 squared is equal to 50. Okay. So we're going to look at one more slide. Sorry. It's not working. Okay, I'm going to have to stop here, and I will continue with another video.